Hey everybody, Carm Capriato, welcome. Remarkable Results Radio and another Town Hall Academy. We got a great episode today. Uber business versus loaner cars versus shuttles and shuttle drivers. We've never done an episode when we look and compare this. So I want to tell you how much I appreciate your support over the last 10 years. We wouldn't be doing this without you as a listener and our great sponsors. Hey, did you know that NAPA Tracks has on-site training plus 6-day-a-week support? Well, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice. Let us prove to you that Trax is the single best shop management system in the business. Find NAPA Trax on the web at napatrax.com. Ready to optimize with today's class? Boy, listen to an episode we did with David Boys. Great program. Roll out a training plan for your automotive shop. In just 5 minutes daily, boost knowledge, retention, and improve team performance. Start seeing results today. Join your peers at today'sclass.com. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and thanks. Okay, let's get started. Dustin Old, how are you, man?
I am doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on.
Good to have you, man. Automotive Evolution, 5 locations: Denver, Golden, Colorado, Lakewood, Littleton, Wheat Ridge. God, that's where Donnie Cipher grew up. Wheat Ridge, right?
It is. Yep. I know Donnie and his brother Troy.
Yeah, cool. Great. I'd love to find out about the latte thing.
Of course. Yeah, it's interesting. So, yeah, that's actually what we started with in 2007. That was our flagship store, was Lube and Latte. And we determined that we're always going for that heightened customer experience. And so we decided that if we added coffee into the mix, because everybody's got coffee already, they've got the Mr. Coffee or whatever that sits in the corner or the Nespresso machine. But we made that into a full-blown espresso machine and cafe. And that way, when people can come and get their work done, they can have a latte or a mocha or something while they're waiting. It just makes it a little bit more comfortable, or they can take it to go. Just one more thing to kind of draw folks in and make it the experience a little bit different for them.
So cool and so different. So I guess if you thought of going to Starbucks and get a lube on your car, ain't gonna happen.
You don't want to get them mixed up. That's the biggest thing.
Good. Glad to have you here. I love your partners page on the website. Your website, by the way.
Thank you.
That is really cool. Maybe we need to do an episode just on that and the power and the value for that. My friend Tom Ziartino is here. I could tell you're at home. Am I right?
Yep. Good morning in the home office
Yeah.
today.
Total Automotive in the town of Tonawanda, Buffalo, New York. Glad to have you, Tom. Tom is an Uber business guy. Dustin is in loaner cars and shuttles. And I think this is a fascinating topic to discuss, guys. Yeah, I guess it's all about the client experience. And I need to ask you both a question. Do you know any shop owners in your realm of influence that don't do anything like this? They just let the customer on their own.
Well, I think there's a lot of shops that do that in our area. It's what sets us apart from other shops, by being able to give that little extra customer experience to the customer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing that drives me nuts to think, Dustin, to go to a shop and you're always having to get your pickup ride somewhere along the line to get you back to either work or home. And if customer service is getting to be a differentiator in the highest level today in this service business that we're in, how could you ignore that?
It always astounds me when people don't do that, or shops don't provide a service, any kind of service like that. And I always wonder how they sort of maintain what they need to do against what they're trying to bring in. So to me, you have to have something like that, because customers, again, I think they need to get on to work. They need to get kids to school during the school year. So some sort of transportation has to be provided for them. And especially if you're asking them to complete a sizable repair. I mean, you really can't do that if you're going to be down a vehicle for a few days and you've got kids to transport to, extracurricular activities or something like that. Absolutely got to have something that you can provide to them that allows them, to get, from A to B. And so I think that that's just super, super important. And it is a differentiating factor. And if you're not doing it, I think you're going to be remiss, because I think that's where the industry is going. We're trying to meet more and more of these customer needs.
So you've got an investment. How many loaner cars do you have?
Currently we have 16, but we're expanding all the time.
I find that fascinating. Over 5 locations.
Yes, yes.
Does Lubin Latte have them, or is that just an in and out thing?
Nope, all the locations have a few. And what's nice about that is, if one location comes up short, then we can shuttle one over to that location, and as long as it's not reserved, and basically then we can take care of whatever customer, whatever shop, because they're all fairly close. I would say all the shops, maximum distance between shops is about 20 minutes, but most of the shops are anywhere between 7 to 10 minutes apart.
Dustin, when do you take the yellow pad or the Excel spreadsheet out and do an ROI occasionally on the value of this investment?
I think we look at it fairly regularly. So I would say quarterly, we take a look at it, and we're always trying to find ways in which we can make it a little bit more affordable. So, for example, more recently, we converted over to a rental car system and a courtesy car system. And the reason we did that is because courtesy cars tend to be, depending on the store, tend to be a little bit older vehicles, a little bit more worn. But sometimes you've got customers who are real estate agents, bankers, that sort of thing. And so they're looking for a little bit more high-end car, and so they want maybe a 2022 or a 2019 or a newer vehicle, so that when they show up to appointments, it's not some sort of beat up car that is a little bit more embarrassing. So for a nominal fee, which is less than like an Enterprise or an Avis, we'll rent the vehicle out. And again, that turns into a revenue stream for us. So we're able to basically meet different customers' needs. Not to mention, I think then you're sort of catering yourself toward a specific type of customer. If you want that high end customer, they're looking for something a little bit more high end to take out and about, and they don't mind paying, $40 to $60 a day for a rental vehicle.
Tommy, I find this fascinating that somebody would want to rent a vehicle for one day. Dustin, I guess what I heard you say is they're on the road, they're doing things, and they need to present themselves. That does make a lot of sense.
You know what? It definitely, sets you aside, Dustin, from some of your competitors in the area, and that's helpful to you. One of the things that in New York we're in a disadvantage on is insurance. It's much more complicated to get a loaner car system or a rental car system in the state of New York. I mean, I've even heard of shops that are kind of skirting the rules to try and get around it. That was one of the big weighing factors in New York is the extra cost and hassle of insuring those vehicles.
I think that definitely does play into it. And that's really, if there's an argument against courtesy and rental vehicles, that seems to be the biggest one. And one way we've sort of worked around that is we actually established a separate company with its own EIN that was a rental company. So all the vehicles can be moved underneath the umbrella of that rental company. And for whatever reason, the insurance cost for that is much less as a rental company than when you put them under your general liability, your umbrella policies for your insurance. And so when we factored in, because Carm, you'd asked about how often we look at ROI, at last count, I think the cost per vehicle per month was somewhere between $70 to $90 per vehicle. So to reiterate, I think for us that's definitely worth it, because I think sometimes you're going to have repairs that are going to go 1 to 5 days or longer, and an Uber or a Lyft may not be the best solution in those particular types of repair situations. Because obviously, they're transporting kids back and forth to school, they're trying to get to work, and they can't be Ubering and lifting all that time. And so to have a vehicle that's accessible to them for those time periods, that allows them to more easily say, oh, yes, my biggest issue with saying yes to this repair was the transportation issue, and you guys are solving that for me. So then it's a little bit easier to swallow a $10,000 or a $16,000 repair.
I find that fascinating, Tom. $70 to $90 a month.
Yeah, when we did in New York, we were looking at closer to 300, 350 a month per vehicle
Because of the insurance?
because of the insurance. Yeah, it's just so much dramatically different. Dustin, I have a question to you though. On your advisor side, when they handling out a rental, do you find that they tend to extend repairs that normally there would have been a pressure to get that out of the shop? And now they're more apt to take something in front of that vehicle because the customer's in a loaner car?
Ideally not. That is a really good question, and we constantly hammer this U-Pod, into their brains. It's like you have to underpromise and overdeliver, and just because
Yeah.
they're in a courtesy car or rental vehicle does not mean that that gives you license to take more time with the repair. Ideally, they're still treating it as they would any other repair, but I will say when we have emergency situations, so someone shows up and they're trying to get to out to Utah to Moab to go four wheeling. And, normally your schedule is packed and you've got somebody who's in a courtesy car and you know that they're perfectly content to be in that courtesy car and you've bought the time beforehand. Yeah, in those situations, we have given them license to shuffle the schedule around so they can accommodate those emergency situations or those customers who need help right away. Because I think there is something to be said in this industry about speed of service. And when we're not doing things within the customer's time frame, that I think is one of their biggest qualms with repair shops is, hey, you're not doing it in the time that I needed. And so we try and be really, really conservative in doing that, but there are situations where certainly that's going to happen.
Makes it easier for them to say yes at the counter.
Absolutely, 100%.
Tom, as far as Uber business, have you done any kind of analysis as to what you're spending with them divided by the number of people that you've given the service?
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, we're averaging about $15 a ride, which is really affordable. And the customers have actually responded really well to it. They love it. And those cars that come in for that simple oil change that need additional work, now we just, hey, let me get you home, let me get you out of the office. And we take them home and they're happy to leave the car and get that additional work. So we've seen our average work order go up because of that. One of the biggest factors is it just made us more efficient. We're not pulling somebody from the shop to drive somebody home anymore, which we didn't like to do, but it was always, hey, that's the easiest way to do it. Let's just get it done. The other, it never fails that customer always needed to be picked up to get back to the shop at 4:30, 5 o'clock during rush hour. They're downtown. It's a normal 5 minute, 10-minute drive, and now it turns into a half hour. We literally just send a link from Uber to their phone, and if they get out of work, late or they're not being rushed, they just hit the link. They come when it's convenient. They do payment, text to pay, and they pay the bill, and we leave the keys in the lockbox for them, and we instruct them in that. And now we're not rushed taking somebody out at rush hour to get a customer back before we close. So it's just made it all in all a better customer experience. So they're not rushed. We're not rushed. And we became more efficient because now we're not pulling people off of jobs or off of the counter, or my manager Chris having to go pick somebody up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. So everybody can stay doing their job.
Let me understand this. And I don't know if you know how this works, Dustin, but I kind of heard from Tom a little bit about it, the process here. We send them an Uber business link, right? And that would be the comeback, right? The comeback.
Yep.
Do they ever take advantage of that and saying, oh, I'm going to use Tom's Uber account, I'm going to go shopping or something?
Well, no, they can only use it for the link back to our destination. So
Okay.
we send them a link.
When you know that their car is going to be ready.
Yep, and they can use that link, order the ride back to our location.
Got it.
And we even did have a customer that needed to do something over the weekend. We sent them a couple of links for what they needed to do so they could just use them for that link because a car didn't get done on time. So it was able to be convenient for them.
So the $15 average per ride. So it would be home and back. It's $30, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And if you look at the 70 to 90 per month from Dustin, because you obviously have a very low insurance rate, it almost seems to me, how often, Tom, are you using Uber?
So we're actually averaging under 300 a month. It's actually about the same cost as having a car on the road, but with less efficiency loss, where we've increased our efficiency because of it.
Wow. Amazing. I guess I would love to find out the insurance issue. Tom, when you looked at this, did you decide to set a separate company and there are different insurance rules with that?
We looked at both ways. If we did it under our umbrella, it was about $1,100 to $1,200 a month per car. And then you're obviously not going to have one car. So how
Yeah.
many cars do you have
Yeah.
on the road? We'd probably need anywhere between 3 and 5 cars. So, we were looking at substantial investment on not only the cars, but the insurance, the maintenance, and obviously you want to clean them so you have detailing costs when they come back and cleaning it up. They're just, when we looked at it, the overall extra work and cost involved with having loaner cars, it was just easier to shift that burden to Uber and let them handle it.
Hey, let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. NAPA Tracks has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing tracks to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, will be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NAPATRACS, that's NAPATRACS.com. Transform your team with today's class, where automotive training is easy, quick, and fun. Just 5 minutes a day on our app can eliminate hours of looking up forgotten information later. It's perfect for technicians, advisors, and managers alike. Keep critical knowledge fresh and top of mind, ensuring your team operates at peak efficiency. Today's class is impactful, accessible from anywhere, and a bit of fun too, and we're not talking about after-hours pizza either. For training that gets results, turn to todaysclass.com. Buyer beware, Dustin. Obviously, each state has a different set of rules for rentals.
Well, I was curious, Tom, with yours, $300 a month, I was just doing some quick math, $30, that's 10 customers essentially per month. I was also just kind of curious, so if it's 10 customers per month, and also that seems really low, I guess, for mine of things, because our loaners and courtesy cars are out. Our rental cars and courtesy cars are out all the time, and 10 seems really low. But I was also curious. You mentioned that you send them out even for like an oil change. Since that's a loss leader, anyways, for most of us, and how do you justify that $30 against the cost of that oil change?
No, not just for an oil change, but if an oil change comes in and it needs additional work, flushes, brakes, whatever it needs, and that customer, rather than have them sit in the office for 2, 3, 4 hours, we'll send them home. This way, it's more convenient for them, and we take and don't have to rush the technician depending, if we're running into lunch hour or whatever. We can make it more convenient and just the customers out of our office, and this way it's handled correctly.
Okay, let me pose a great question. Tom, I come to your place for an oil change, and we had some additional work, and you got me an Uber home. Now it's 4 months later, I'm in for an oil change, nothing more. And because you Ubered me the last time, I say, hey, can you Uber me home? And you only got a $99 transaction looking in front of you, and it's going to cost you $30 to do that. How do you handle that, sir?
You know what? It's per customer. If we have a customer that's a loyal customer, spends a ton of money, we're going to Uber them no matter what.
But
We're
I'm
going to make them
asking
look.
you, hey, how
Eh,
about that Uber home? And
Yeah.
what are you going to tell me?
In most cases, we would tell them, hey, look, by the time I get you home, your car is going to be done and get you
Whoops.
back. So let's just handle the car now and get you back on the
All
road in
right,
your
all
own
right.
car.
Every
But
situation is on its own, I guess. Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh my God. Anyway, you got some really good people on your counter to work that around, right? The shuttle, Dustin, you got people that can jump in that shuttle and do that?
Yeah, as you were talking, this is exactly what I was thinking about. It was just so interesting. So for us, if we have an oil change, I would rather shuttle that person home. The reason is, for me, there is something to be said, especially for the oil change. That's the time for me to get to know the customer. It's the time for my staff to get to know the customer. When my staff take people home, and we do have a certain distance we'll go. I mean, we won't drive 45 minutes to take somebody home if they're just getting an oil change. It has to be within a certain radius of the shop. But they've been instructed to collect all that, the Ford information, which is that John DeJulius sort
Yep.
of concept. And so when they come back, ideally, what they're supposed to be doing is entering Ford into our management system, and they should be asking questions as they take people home. And so that's why we have kind of a mixture of everything here. Is we love the shuttle because that's a way for us to connect with people. The courtesy cars and rental cars, I think that's when we have very sizable repairs that somebody's going to be out for a long time. But for those really quick in and out repairs, again, I think we're all hoping that we're going to have sold work on those things, but sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. If you're bumping up against a holiday, for example, somebody might be less inclined to do that work. Then those quick rides on a shuttle are great. And so we actually own, because I run a nonprofit too, I actually own a shuttle bus or a huge 13-person van, and that's what we take people home in situations like that.
Damn. I love it. So it's really up, it's a call, it's a person's call. You've got a set of policies and structures and procedures, but in the case of satisfaction or client experience, in a lot of cases, you're going to do what you got to do.
For me, some of my guys are maybe not people, not as inclined to be extroverted, and I am actually not either. I'm a classic introvert. However, I push myself really hard. If I'm ever shuttling somebody home, and I push my staff really hard, be like, you got to just be asking questions, collecting
Cool.
information. You got to get to know that
Yeah.
person.
Let's talk about what you just mentioned. And John DeJulius, Tom, I know you wanted to jump in real quick, but you said the Ford on people. And let me just remind the world that F is family, O is occupation, R is recreation, and D are dreams. And we have episodes on our website. We've interviewed John a couple of times, and the Ford stuff is marvelous to be able to get it into your system and to be able to say, so, hey, the grandkids playing soccer won that tournament last year. How's he doing this year? I mean, you want to talk about owning a relationship.
I definitely think that customers are demanding that type of thing now, where they want that personal touch. They want us to be able to fix their problem and be a counselor while we're talking to them. So it's just getting to know your customers, and that's how, they become customers, then they become friends, they become family. So it just they making that connection with them.
Tom, the Uber is all online. It's all web-based stuff. You don't have to do it on a phone.
Nope, everything's web-based. All the service advisors have on their desktop, they have the Uber app up. It's each advisor has their own profile, so I can know who's providing more Uber rides than others. It's all trackable. It's nice because I get reports. I know exactly how much our spend is every month. I know who spends more than others, and we could use it for training purposes. It's just really a good trackable system so we know where customers are all the time.
I love what you said earlier, Dustin, about radius or knowing the radius and knowing the distance. If I was 45 minutes away, Tom, from your place, you used to be near me, you moved, I want to stay, and I go, and I've been a loyal customer. I've spent thousands of dollars. I spent 10 grand with you in the last 10 years, right? And you're going to say, I'm sorry, you're out of my zone.
Well, I think you're throwing all these curveballs at me, Carm, today.
That's what friends are for, by the way.
Exactly. You
It's,
know what? And I'll go back to every situation is different. If it's
yeah,
a customer that's getting a motor put in their truck and it's a $10,000 job, I'm going to give them a ride. Go back to that oil change, I may not, but the potential's there to also for that oil change to turn into a larger job. So
yeah.
we have to weigh every situation as it comes. We're doing a lot of more advertising now locally, and we're seeing that our reach is coming from farther out than normal. So if we want to attract those customers, we're spending money to get those customers. We may have to spend a little bit more to make them,
Got it.
long time customers.
Dustin, you don't have a car. They're all out. What do you do?
We are just the same as Tom. So that is when we actually flip over to the Lyft or the Uber system.
Okay.
However, I will say, and I've told my staff this, depending on the size of the repair, we'll even, if we need to, we'll take the customer to an Enterprise or an Avis because, again, if you've got a $16,000 engine and you're going to be paying, for a week's worth of time, which call it $600 for a rental car for a week. If you take, sometimes people are handing out discounts on a repair. 10% of $16,000, $1,600. You're paying $600 for that person to have a nice rental car. You're still $1,000 ahead from the person that gives a 10% discount off that repair. So in my mind, I believe that even going the Uber and the Lyft or a rental car outside of our rental car program route is still good. But that's part of the reason why we're looking to expand our rental car fleet, because if we have 30 rental cars in our fleet, now we have a revenue stream from the rental cars, but also we don't have that situation, Karin, where we're sort of running up against, okay, all of a sudden we're out of vehicles.
Okay. When you consider that you have this built-in client service, do you look at the revenue per ticket? I mean, are you guys you're doing your DVI, you're seeing what it is, you're offering, listen, these are emergency items, these are must fix now. Is it easier for the client to say, hey, yeah, do them, you're going to get me home? To me, it seems like the lid of the deal or the icing on the cake to have this in your back pocket.
It's all about overcoming objections, right? I mean, this is really what our role that we're supposed to be assigning to our service advisors and managers of our stores is. How do you overcome objections? If the objection is the cost, then you need to have a program that's going to allow the customer to pay in incremental payments, so in a firm or something like that. If the issue is transportation, you have to figure out the transportation for them. So I think whatever the objection is, it's our role to figure out how we can get past that so we can make it work for everybody. You're going for that win-win situation. How can we both win in this? And so I think, to me, that's why this is a really pertinent and good issue to talk about, because we have to figure out those differentiating factors for ourselves in our shops that allow us to be able to meet the expectations of the customers no matter what their objection is.
Got it. Tom, what didn't we cover that you wanted to bring to our listener?
I mean, we touched on the shuttle service, and I think, Dustin, you brought up a good point that having a shuttle as an option is good to get to know the customers and have that one-on-one time with them. But I think on the flip side of that, you have to make sure you have the correct person in the seat of the shuttle, because you obviously don't want somebody diagnosing a car on the road, talking about price on the road, that type of stuff. So we all, and I've done it myself, is, I'll get 2 miles or 2 blocks out of the shop and know exactly what's wrong with the car. And the customer will continually tell me, well, what do you think? What do you think? As far as I know, I don't know what's wrong with the car until it comes in the bay. We need to make sure that we have the right person in the shuttle.
You know what? You just opened my eyes to something, Tom. You mentioned in their car. Dustin, you're really talking about a separate vehicle, right?
Yeah, it depends. Like, so you can take them home in their car. Sometimes that happens too, but it's oftentimes a separate vehicle. Yes.
I got it. Okay. So you're doing diagnostic work.
But
Yeah.
he is exactly right. That absolutely has come up, and we've actually had employees go home with customers, and it is like a therapy session. All of a sudden, we're getting details way beyond the details that we want or need, or being asked to diagnose the vehicle or tell. And so I think that's all about the training, though, right? I mean, when you're having somebody takes a customer home, they have to be apprised about, hey, here's some taboo subjects. So, for example, we might stay away from politics. We might stay away from that sort of thing. It's like, we don't want to go there. We have to kind of keep neutral. And again, we're not going to give price. We're not going to diagnose. So I think that all can be set up with, the expectations you have for your employee.
Yep.
Can you afford to take someone from inside the shop and put him on that ride?
So that is a bit of a conundrum. And again, I think that's why courtesy cars for us are oftentimes a better situation. With an oil change and the radius that we go, which could be a 15-minute radius, yeah, we can do it. And sometimes we have to set the expectation, right? So we might tell people, hey, if you want to be shuttled home, you need to be here right at this time. And then you may have 4 or 5 customers that you're going to shuttle all at the same time. And so that in that situation, yes, you can have 5 people being taken home. The employee is gone for an hour. But again, you also have to weigh what are they getting? They're getting a relationship with these customers, and the customers are. When you look at the lifetime value of a customer, which we just did in a coaching session, and the lifetime value of a customer is $17,000 to $20,000. Yeah, I think you can afford to have an employee away for an hour to build those relationships and those 4 to 5 customers. I think that's possible.
Great point, Dustin. Hey guys, it's been great. Let's summarize this. Tom, any final words?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is you need to meet with your management team and your service advisor team and find out what works best for your organization
Sure.
to keep the customers satisfied, keep them coming back, and set you aside from any other businesses around your area. And I think that's the biggest thing is communication with your team to figure out what's working best.
It's all about the client experience.
Absolutely. And that's if you look at any business, and it just doesn't have to be automotive, any business right now is gearing towards that.
Absolutely. Dustin, Automotive Evolution out in Colorado. Tom Ciartino from Total Automotive in Buffalo, New York. Dustin, final word.
I think Tom hit the nail on the head right there. It is all about the differentiating factor of your shops. I think we're constantly trying to figure out ways in which we can rise above the standard that's out there and figure out ways in which our shops can provide even more and more for our customers as that differentiating factor. And I think when we do that, we're basically locking in a customer base for life. And so I feel like that's what those vehicles do, and that's what rental cars do. And I think that's what we all have to be doing to kind of make our shops special.
Yeah, you both are setting a client expectation out there, and when the rest of the world goes out there and has a bad experience or can't get where they need to get, or they're very inconvenienced in order to come and spend money, keep their car maintained, people will vote with their money the next time, and they're going to probably go hunt for a shop that can help them. And you've each done your math. You appreciate it. You're both profitable companies, and it works for you. This was great. Thank you. Uber Business versus Loaners versus Shuttles. Great episode, gentlemen. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Carm.
Thanks, Carm.